Boom, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. Welcome back to this week's game preview. And of course, the game of the week that I will be looking into for the Iowa Hawkeyes is Iowa versus Purdue. Now, I totally forgot about this, and forgive me for that, and I'm glad I was reminded of it. But of course, former Iowa Hawkeye Tyrone Tracy is a member of the Purdue Boilermakers. And when I was doing my Big Ten Whip Around show, I noticed in the Purdue versus Illinois game, there was somebody who stood out. And of course, it was Tyrone Tracy. Now, he is no longer a wide receiver. That is what he was initially, both at Iowa and at Purdue, but he is now a running back. And statistically, if he were a member of the Iowa Hawkeyes current squad, now, of course, who knows with Iowa's offensive line and play calling, yada, 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 if you'd have the same numbers. But given his numbers at Purdue, he would be the leading rusher on the Iowa Hawkeyes right now. And it's very interesting. I've said this previously, but it actually makes sense. You know, if you look at Tyrone Tracy's physique and kind of his build, he does seem more like a running back, which is what he played in high school. He was recruited at Iowa to convert to the wide receiver position, but at I believe it was Loras Central is where in Indianapolis is where Tyrone Tracy went. He also played running back quite a bit. He did have moments of flash at the wide receiver position. And for a little bit there, it seemed as though Tyrone Tracy was going to be the next solid Iowa wide receiver, which of course, is kind of a joke in and of itself, as Iowa does not have a ton of wide receivers that are very prolific. But after his freshman year, in which he put up, it was either his redshirt freshman year or his true freshman year, in which he put up close to 400 yards receiving, there was a ton of optimism surrounding him. And then it just went downhill from there. And, who knows? Maybe he could have made it at the wide receiver position. Regardless, Purdue has switched him, and it looks like it's working out. He is the starting tailback for Purdue and is getting significant snaps. And as an Iowa fan, man, wouldn't it be nice if we had Tyrone Tracy? Hell, I think it'd be nice even to have him as a wide receiver still. But wouldn't it be nice if Iowa had him as a running back in the current stable that they have in the running back room? Now, I like Iowa's running back room as is, and think there's talent in there, but I think it would be nice to have Tyrone Tracy as well. One more thing on the Tyrone Tracy thing, or two more things. One, there's a lot of Iowa fans who constantly say that Iowa's offense stinks because they don't have talent, they don't have athletes, yada, yada, yada. Again, that could not be further from the truth. When you look at Iowa players and how they do in the draft, they always have great testing numbers. Secondly, if you look at Iowa players that were at Iowa who then went to another school, explain to me then how they have excellent numbers when they go to another school like Charlie Jones, who ended up being a top 4 round pick and is now in the NFL, and now Tyrone Tracy. I read an article last week it was last week after Iowa's shellacking by Penn State, and it pointed out that over the last 5 years in which Iowa has recruited 24 plus wide receivers, only approximately four of them have remained at the position or at Iowa, who have remained wide receivers at Iowa. And I can name them for you right now. I mean, it'd be Amir Smith-Marset, Brandon Smith, Nico Regani, aka Nico Ragaani, aka Nico Ragaini. Those would be the three I can think of, and I think that's about it. And Tyrone Tracy moving to the running back position, to me, shows what the article was trying to point out, which is that Iowa does have issues whether it be keeping them or recruiting them, there's just some disconnect there. Whether it's the evaluation, somewhere the ball is being dropped when you have 24 wide receivers that are recruited and only 4 of them have stayed at your institution at the wide receiver position and not switched to a different position. You can definitely say that part of that comes down to evaluation. Now, it does not point out the evaluation as a whole. I think Iowa does that really well. I think they're able to find good football players, but purely recruiting the wide receiver position, I think that leaves some to be desired. But there's a ton of ideas there. It's never that clear cut. Then how do you explain Charlie Jones, who Iowa was able to get out of the transfer portal, going to Purdue, staying at the wide receiver position and doing well, yada, yada, yada. All right, guys, I have talked too much about this Tyrone Tracy thing. Definitely an interesting storyline. Let's get into the actual game, some of the team stats, and of course the game prediction. If you guys are not already subscribed, please consider smashing that subscribe button. It really help your boy here, fellow Iowa Hawkeye fan. At the very least, like, comment, and share. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you absolutely can, as many of you have, and I really appreciate it. It shows your guys' support for the content that I create. And without further ado, let's get into this. So here we go, guys. Here, of course, is the ESPN matchup page. The power index, or it's either the power index or the SPI, ESPN SPI. They have multiple metrics of ranking teams, power rankings, whatever you want to call it. I think this is the power index. Gives Iowa nearly a 70% chance of winning this game. I believe this game is at Iowa. Let's make sure of that really quickly by looking at their schedule. Yes, it is in Kinnick Stadium, which is a huge benefit. Purdue is coming off a massive victory over Illinois, absolutely crushing them. It was a pretty impressive win. I mean, Illinois is definitely not as good as they were last year, but still, it's always good to beat a Big Ten West foe as fashionably as the Boilermakers did. It gives Purdue a 32.1% chance of winning this game. Here are the team stats, of course. Cade McNamara is the leading quarterback for Iowa, 4 TDs, 3 INTs. For 505 yards. Don't think I would be very shocked if he is the starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes this week, which I will get to momentarily. H. Card is the leading quarterback for Purdue. He has 1,244 passing yards, 5 TDs to 3 INTs. Leading rushers, Tyrone Tracy, former Hawkeye, 40. Let me go ahead and maximize this so I can actually see what it is. 48 or 46 carries for 288 yards, 5 TDs. Leeshawn, aka LaShawn Williams, 37 carries, 211 yards. 2 leading rushers. I'm very optimistic that we will be able to get Caleb Johnson back and Josiah Patterson back this week. They've been out about 2.5 weeks now. I'm very hopeful that they're going to be able to play at least one of them. In fact, I was actually surprised that Josiah Patterson, that one of them did not play against Michigan State. The leading receivers for both teams are D. Burks, 20 receptions, 377 yards, 4 TDs. Believe he is a wide receiver. Let's make sure of that here. Sophomore Dion Burks, wide receiver number 4, 5'11", 195 pounds. Leading receiver for Iowa, Eric All, 14 receptions, 183 yards, 2 TDs. Let's get to the team stats here. Total yards, 399 to 240.8. Purdue is almost doubling the total yardage of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Yards passing, 248 to 133. Yards rushing, 150 to 107. Yards allowed, 398 to 320. Passing yards allowed, 249 to 182. Rush yards allowed, 184 to 138. Here are the last 5 games for each team. You can see Purdue got beat pretty handily by Wisconsin 38-17, pretty handily by Syracuse 35-20, and of course they lost to Fresno State 39-35, but they did smash Illinois 44-19. Iowa beat Michigan State, although being outgained in yardage in almost every statistical category. Michigan State outgained Iowa, but Iowa still won by double digits, 26-16. Got smacked by Penn State, beat Western Michigan, Iowa State, and Utah State. Now, storylines. I talked a little bit about, let me pull up the depth chart here really quickly. I do also want to show they used to have the Vegas odds for the game on this. I'll pull that up momentarily. Here are the team standings, or the Big Ten standings. You can see Iowa, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Minnesota top of the Big Ten West. This will definitely put one of these two teams top of the Big Ten. We're starting to get into deciding games here. So let me pause and find the Vegas odds here. You guys can see here, Iowa opens as single-digit favorites over Purdue. According to Circa Sports, the Hawkeyes are opening as 4-point favorites over the Boilermakers. The point total is set at 36.5. So there you guys have that. We have the standings. So the storylines here, of course, are Brian Ferentz. You guys can see he still is behind his climb to 325. Let's go ahead and play this here. I think he's at 111. And in order for him to, I have a soundtrack playing in my ear. In order for him to be where he should be at 125, and he's at 111. That's definitely a storyline to watch. The other major storyline would, of course, be the Iowa quarterback situation. I have said this since Deacon Hill has gotten in, and since Cade McNamara has had a very, very slow start to the season. I wish Cade McNamara well, and I hope he has a speedy recovery. And I'm not even willing to say that I am willing to move off of Cade McNamara yet. Okay, I'm not willing to say that I want to Iowa to move off Cade McNamara, but I do like what I saw from Deacon Hill, and I do also believe that he adds an added element that Iowa does not have with Cade McNamara. He is 6'3", 240 plus pounds. He's very hard to take down. He moves surprisingly well for his size, and he has a cannon of an arm. So I am very interested to see him play against Purdue, in which he can have a full week's worth of reps at QB1. For the game. Like I said, I don't think Cade McNamara will be the starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes this week. I'm definitely curious to see what Deacon Hill can do at the starting quarterback position. Now it's interesting. I think Nick DeYoung got injured versus Michigan State, but Iowa keeps it most of the time. I see Rusty Feth in there at left guard as the starting guard. So I don't know why Iowa keeps listing Nick DeYoung as the starter. But everything else, Connor Cole, I think they have gone with Rusty Feth at left guard, Nick DeYoung at right guard, over Connor Colby, actually. Which is crazy. Connor Colby was well on his way to being another star offensive lineman. Not to say he still can't get there, but I believe Nick DeYoung was injured. We'll have to keep an eye on that against Michigan State. Some of the things I was happy to see against Michigan State was Iowa trying to get the wide receivers involved, but the Iowa wide receivers absolutely proved the Iowa coaching staff correct. They couldn't catch the ball. They had, I saw 4 drops documented. I saw 6 drops. Either way, it was several drops in the game versus Michigan State. And had they been completed, that would have been, I would say, anywhere between 40 and 60 yards for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, that's a big deal, guys. They have to fix that. They cannot have those drops. But I was very happy to see the added attempt of getting the football to the wide receivers. Now, was that more Deacon Hill or was that more Brian Ferentz? Who knows? So, we'll see. Let's take a look at Purdue's depth chart here. You guys can pause it and take a look at Iowa's depth chart there. Not a ton of movement, of course, for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And of course, I'm recording this on Sunday, so there will be another release depth chart. You guys can pause it again to take a look at Purdue's here. As I said, Tyrone Tracy is not the listed starter, but he is the leading rusher for Purdue. And here is their defense. You guys can pause and check it out. All right. And lastly, before I go into my prediction, here are the team stats. Scoring, Iowa is, after the game against Michigan State, is up to 98. They are averaging 22.2 points per game. I don't believe Purdue is a whole lot better, but they still are doing better. I mean, if Iowa averaged this total, I'd be very happy, very happy. Purdue tied for 71st, averaging 28 points per game. That's scoring offense. Let's go ahead and take a look at scoring defense as well. Get this pulled up here. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, all the way up there. Incredible. Iowa is 27th in the country, giving up 17 points per game. Purdue definitely does not have the defense that Iowa has. I wouldn't say they're terrible either. Illinois, 86th. I did not see Purdue on page 2. Wow, 109th. Purdue is giving up 32.25 points per game. Wow. Dang. That is incredible. So, honestly, when it comes to Brian Ferentz, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for him not to get to his margin, because his contractual margin, because somebody posted the defensive team rankings of Iowa's remaining opponents, and there were only 2 that were above the top 50. Everybody else was like really bad. So there's no excuse. I mean, Iowa should be able to move the ball against Purdue. Purdue is 63rd in total offense. Iowa's going to be way down there. I already know it. They're going to be page 3, the vaunted page 3. Iowa State 118. Iowa still 129th in the country, only to be beaten out by Eastern Michigan for last place, 245.5 points per game. I don't think that this is updated, though, because Iowa is now 4-1. So this actually is not completely updated. But that's all right. That's all right. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? 37-20 total defense for Iowa. I'm not going to give you guys the yards because I did that in the previous. Again, this is missing a game of stats. So, take that for what you will. Purdue, page 3 in total defense. So this is a battle of page 3 offense for Iowa versus page 3 defense of Purdue, and vice versa. I mean, man, classic Big Ten stuff, guys. Classic Big Ten stuff. I'm having trouble finding Purdue here. 98th, 404 yards per game. All right, guys. Last but not least, my game review here and prediction. So listen, Very interesting storylines come into this game. Purdue has given Iowa trouble in the past couple of years. And of course, I have been burned by the Iowa Hawkeyes multiple times in predicting and having confidence and thinking to myself that it's a fluke that Purdue beats them. Now, my saving grace is that Jeff Brom is no longer a Purdue head coach, and it's a new head coach for the Boilermakers. I think this is actually a good matchup for the Iowa Hawkeyes, as Purdue's defense is not very good. I'm very interested to see Deacon Hill, as I said, and I really want to see what he can do. And it'll be very interesting to see if he has a good game if Iowa continues to go with him. I think they would. I think if Deacon Hill has a definitively good game and Iowa smacks Purdue, I think he will remain as the Iowa starting quarterback, which, again, I'm not saying that I'm leaning one way or the other, but, what did I tell you guys before the season? I said that I had major concerns, and I am vindicated yet again. I know sports way too well. Soft brag. Sorry, guys. I said that a major concern and red flag was the injury proneness of Cade McNamara. So here we are. He got injured again. He didn't even make it 5 games into the season. And the thing is, Iowa was actually very, they held back the reins a lot and tried to keep him out of harm's way a lot. So here we are. And even if he can be back, I'm not confident that he will be able to finish the season. I'm just not. He is definitely an injury-prone guy. So either way, though, the biggest thing that I'm going to be looking for is the same stuff. Will Iowa go to the slants, the bubble screens, and get their wide receivers involved? Can Iowa finally run the football, or can they only run the football against Western Michigans of the country? Can Iowa's defense generate some pass rush? Those would be my questions for the Iowa Hawkeyes. For Purdue, of course, it's, can their defense have a decent game? Can they score against Iowa's defense? The normal stuff. I actually think the top 3 teams in the Big Ten West are Iowa, Wisconsin, and Purdue at this point. And this is going to be a deciding factor in the outcome of the Big Ten West. But for this game, I'm going to pick the Iowa Hawkeyes to win this game 23-18. I think Purdue is actually able to get close to the 20 mark due to how good of an offense they have. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit the 20 mark. But I think Iowa will be up for some revenge against Purdue, and their defense will be up to the task. And I think Iowa's defense is just going to keep getting better week by week. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Purdue fans, thank you guys for watching this video as well. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you can support the content creation. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and facts are feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys, and see you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye.